So guys, this rank season is the shortest that we've seen, so we're going to go with one of the most consistent decks. That's going to be the Altaria deck. And if you guys enjoy Pokemon TCG Pocket, please like, subscribe, and comment what deck you'll be using for this rank season. And let's get into it. So in this deck variation, I went ahead and I used Tapu Lele, but if you have Jirachi, please go ahead and use him instead. Overall, that is the better card, because in today's meta, you don't really need to stack a lot of energy, so that kind of defeats the purpose of Tapu Lele. On the other hand, 30 anywhere on the board is quite useful, because not only can you create an opening for Cyrus, but you can also knock out a baby Pokemon too. Some other adjustments that I would make to this deck is taking out the second Pokeball and the Guzma, and adding in the Celestic Town Elder and a second Licia card. Alright, let's get into the gameplay. So as you notice, I took out the Swablu, put in the Chingling. This is going to be the general play that I go for whenever going against decks with stage 2 Pokemon. As you can see, my opponent is having a lot of trouble with this play. Not only can he not evolve his Pokemon, but Rowlet is barely dealing any damage to my board. He basically has to wait until I either switch out Chingling or it gets knocked. In this scenario, I actually take out the Chingling, put in my regular Altaria instead of the Mega one, and this is why. When you're playing with Mega Pokemons, it's essentially a point game. When you're the one placing out a Mega Pokemon first, you're putting yourself at high risk, because most Pokemon can two-shot Megas, or at least the Pokemon played in this meta. That's why I decided to put in Altaria to deal damage before switching into a Mega. Now, obviously I did make a mistake. I completely forgot that my opponent cannot evolve into Decidueye. Decidueye immediately goes for my back row. I think the play here should have been evolving the Swablu into Mega Altaria. That way Decidueye can only target the Chingling in the back row, whittling down the Decidueye with Altaria, and then later switch Pokemon. Later in the game, he does take out my Chingling, granting himself 1 extra point, so now he's at 2 points. Seems like my opponent didn't know what Indeedee does for an attack, which is pretty fair because I don't think anyone knows what Indeedee does for an attack, but it does Psychic, so it does scale off of energy stacked onto the Pokemon, allowing me to take advantage of his mistake. Indeedee does 120 to his Cranium, and then finishes the job next turn. After winning this game, I narrowly escaped a defeat against a Zapdos Jolteon deck, giving us a 5-game winning spree. This is probably the most consecutive wins I've ever gotten in rank, and usually this is where we would lose. And look at that, we're actually against the top deck of the season, Suicune Greninja, which just really fortifies my prediction. This game does get pretty close. I bring out the Mega Altaria and hitting the Suicune for 130. At this moment, you can feel how excited my opponent is. Look at all these rare candies that he's activated. And you know, I'm really glad he brought out Greninja EX, because I think a second Greninja would have been absolutely terrifying. 2 shurikens being thrown in the backline is absolutely scary. Not to mention, at this point in the game, he only needs 1 point, so the second shuriken would have knocked my Chingling. Luckily, I do draw the Pokemon Center Lady next turn, healing my Chingling and saving me for 1 more turn. And I narrowly escaped defeat because my opponent only has 1 card left in his deck. And do you know what card he didn't play this entire game? Cyrus. In this moment, I am absolutely sweating bullets, because if he's able to Cyrus in my Chingling after hitting it with Greninja, it would have been game over. But instead, out of frustration, he's shuffling around his Pokemon, probably wondering why his RNG is so bad, then ultimately ending his turn. Just to rub it in, I activate my Cyrus, pulling out his Suicune, which causes him to absolutely lose it and concede the game, allowing us to continue our win spree. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.